This is Arukh HaShulchan Yodea, Siman Aleph, Sif Yuzayin Yud Ches. This is Supplemental Arukh HaShulchan Yomi, Day 4. Yuzayin. Avachem Sheba Etzom Echel Lishchot. Okay, you have a bunch of people, other people, a community, somebody came to them to Shech. They came, so we don't know him. I think this is halacha. If he know that he's adept at the halachas of shchita, even though we don't know if he's adept at the craft, which HaShulchan say are two separate things. Because our assumption is that most people who involved in shchita know the craft. Because certainly not concerned he's not going to faint. It's certainly not concerned he's going to faint. But that that a person was bucky in Hilchos Shchita, then that's all we know, right? That's not enough. Let's see what he left. The other meaning Gamazet, in this case, you also say, well, he knew Hilchos Shchita, so you say, it must be that also he was an expert in the craft, or we assume he's an expert in the craft. Most people who are engaged in Shchita know what they're doing. But, you're not allowed to let a person shecht, even if he's an expert in the craft, unless he knows Hilchos Shchita. But the reason came in the dove is b'diavad, because she's bar, since this is asers even b'diavad, that a person doesn't know Hilchos Shchita is a problem now. Even shechta, like I said, seafood base. That if we don't rely on this, l'chatchila, to assume that he knows Hilchos Shchita. Now, if he went away and we saw he was shechted, we can say that well, he probably knew Hilchos Shchita, but when he comes in front of us, he's here. No, first we fire him. Let's see. The Sugi Shas is very according the Sugi Shas works very well according to this. And which I don't recall seeing. I'm sure he's done it before, but he explains the Sugi in the brackets here in detail. Fachi Perush in this way. This is Pshat Sugi. Any mumche can come and shecht. He's an expert in his craft. Even though don't have a prior knowledge and assumption he's not going to faint. Okay, so, but that's a mumcha in the craft. What about Hilchos Shchita? We also have to know that he knows Hilchos Shchita. So, right, the mumcha tzorek gam yedei Hilchos Shchita. Even though he's an expert in his craft, he also has to know Hilchos Shchita. But what if we don't know? In other words, he just came and shechted. So then, okay, vim shachat, we shechted. Bokim we check him after the fact. Im yodei Hilchos Shchita, if he knows Hilchos Shchita, fine. Vim lav not aser. If not, it's written. Klomar, meaning vim zeh mumcha b'mnuso shachat. This person, he was an expert in the craft, but he don't know about knowledge of Hilchos Shchita. He's handy, but quite about the halachas. We said we have to check it if it was Hilchos Shchita. The conclusion the Gemara says, the other Amoraim didn't interpret the first mission like Ravina, because most people who engage in Shchita, they know what they're doing. Meaning, the Ravina according to Ravina, we don't allow him to shecht unless we know he's an expert in his craft. Said we're not concerned about that expertise in the craft. The Roman says if he comes and says, I'm a shaychit, we say, okay, Mr. He knows what he's doing. It's kind of like Milson David also, I think. I mean, obviously, we'll see what he does. But no, the halachas of shchita, lo nechlu Ravina. That they didn't argue Ravina. That we have to fire him to make sure he knows Hilchos Shchita. Kachin you have Nachman Daf Yud Beis. This is where Nachman says Daf Yud Beis Nechulin. Rachat Shachat v'Chulei. V'Sisam Meshech. V'Elad Lo Yada Yigamir Lo Gamir. You don't know if he learned halachas or not. Lema Roba Tzuyin. let's say that most people who engage in shechita know what they're doing. So it means to say the varim yesh no bekan. Certainly, if he's here, bokim also, we have to check him out. Yodei shechita. We have to fire him. Arukh shalach. But if he went away, then some chinam said then we rely also in terms of the adeptness. And the shechita that mistama roman says shechita are no hilchas shechita. But here so the gam umlus bokim also acharkach. And it says, you know what? No, you even have to check him after the fact by his craft, not just by his knowledge of shechita. The chatchila also umnuso. You can't give him unless you know that he knows the craft. The Shas argues that says no. If he knows shechita and he's ready, willing, and able to do it, so to speak. So therefore, we assume that he knows his stuff. But the knowing chashchita, nobody argues on Ravina. You have to fire him and find out the way he knows the chashchita. Obviously, it's like Kabbalah. The Kabbalah is suffice. Now, with this, what the Shas says already works out well. When is it true that we rely on him? When we know that he can say chashchita. The language is changed here in the Gemara. In the previous occasions of the Gemara, they said "Bamed v'armorim," saying like she's al gabov, and it says "Bamed v'armorim sheyodei hilchos shchita." Changed, right? Previously we said, okay, all those people who only shechted diev, we accept their shchi who are dubious, such as akutis or mumar. It's only al gabov we accept them, but here it says "Bamed v'armorim sheyodei hilchos shchita," right? So therefore, it's clearly we need to know that somebody knows that chashchita is a basis, right? There's a baseline, I should say, right? That language changed. There's another thing which changes. The Kamar, it says, mumchin, it says when they're not mumchin, bebokim o so sagi. It says, if you check enough, it's enough. Check him, it's enough. V'lo kamarta doesn't use the lotion v'amarta bebokim oso sagi. Didn't you say that where you check him? Didn't you say where you check him it's good enough? Like it says later on in the Gemara, where it talks about that the chashash is a different chashash, according to the second lashon Rabina, that maybe he's talking going to faint. Where it says darmi b'shemu zakim, where they say about a person's not muchzak that he's not going to faint. Where it says shomer v'amarta b'barli sagi, you say that barley is sagi. What's the difference? So the why here is not say it says here it says here bebokia so saga not as a definitive statement, not as a challenge. Hamarta bokia so sagi. Did you say bokia so is enough? Like it says, didn't you say bucky is enough? Later on, why? What's the difference? Because in the first language where the issue is chashchita, and you have to check them out. And here it's asking on where they're not muche. But boki so sagi the lama. So it's asking the mitzad asfara. Okay, should be enough to be bodekim, right? That should be effective as long as he knows chashchita. So the mumchin issue should fall off. Whereas later on, it says, so didn't you say barley sagi were challenging not on the basis of svara, but on the basis of technicality? He said, that's enough if he says barley. Whereas here we're saying, basis svara, well, no, it's not wouldn't be enough for him to say to us, oh, I know hilchos shchita. Couldn't he would say V'amarta im amar yodei hilchos shchita, that's enough? No, it's not good enough. It's not like where a person says barley, I didn't faint. Here we have to give him fire. So the lush is slightly different, or to indicate that bokin so, not if amar that he's insufficient. No, you have to check him out. According to this, according to this, what the Rishonim have difficult In the sugi there is not difficult. The maskana ain't a dom b'dicha shas Ravina l'shakam b'ikadamri. It's the difference between the rejection of the shas and l'shakamba of Ravina, where it says you got to check. You can't rely on him. Of course, you have to check him. You can't rely on him. Say so. You have to check him. Whereas on the ikadamri, it's saying, well, we can rely on him. He says didn't faint. That's good enough. The Ufina side the ein chiluk. Basically saying it's not really different. It's that if it's something where he knows Hilchos Shchita, we can rely on to say Bar Lisagi. But if it says it doesn't, well, you have to know the Hilchos Shchita. This is Gam Rifa like Shchita Zu. Also, Rifa goes his opinion. He has no Hilchos Shchita. But Gam Baalo Shevi Aran Sovaken El Sharani Zahita Didvar Divrem Ferish Kovishanim. He changes their words to something which is similar to other Rishonim. B'yitil kavas Rambam chashash alufei. Once the Rambam is chashish for fainting. I show chol paskan chol b'derech zeh. Paskan say the Rambam does take into account fainting. Only it's not the Baruch Moshe that the Rambam is not taking account fainting, and the whole issue is a question of shchita that it's has to be known that he knows. It's not enough that he contends that he knows. This is the Baruch Moshe the vatik v'duk. Fatik is interesting Russian. Okay. I don't remember ever seeing that. Fatik is with apostrophe. With a quotation mark. Fatik. I don't think Fatik is a Rosh Tevos. I guess it's just like Beduk is not Rosh Tevos. I think it means it's good, somehow. Okay. That's what I'm saying about the Shulchan Aruch. What is Shulchan Aruch, right? Of course, everybody can check, even the Chatchila, I feel Nashim, Avonim, Kohanim, even women and slaves and anybody. Even though we don't know him, that he's can be assumed to shech without fainting, which according to the Aruch Shulchan was not a concern in the Rambam, but it's a concern in Shulchan Aruch. And we don't know. We also know that he's an expert. And in the craft, he also don't know the Hilchos Shchita. Mutar Latchil L'Shchot. We still mutar from the Shecht. Even Latchil Shor Begin L'Shchot. Mutar Latchil L'Shchot. Not even Shchita. Shor Begin L'Shchot. Hem Cheskes Mumchin Musakim. Because most people come to bat to Shecht. They are assumed to be experts and they are not going to faint. By matter of when is this Chuk She'enu Lefanenu when he's not here? So then we can eat in Shchita of Son L'Chasar L'Lan Chazaka. I'm with name, but if he's here to the Barka, we have to check. If he's an expert, he knows it's a Shchita. Those two things you have to check. If you don't have to ask him if he faints. Those say can't learn Chazaka, only b'diavad. But preferably you should never learn Chazaka, even if it's not here, if you can check it out. But all it's about where other people don't know, are not aware and don't know if this sheikh was adept or not. But a sheikh himself, in other words, our rov, our chazaka, that's one thing. But you yourself, as a sheikh with a conscience, so yourself shechted 3 times in front of his sage, and an expert knows Shchita, and you know that you're habituated, and that you're diligent, and that you won't faint. That's the name of the Rambam. So the custom is a person doesn't shecht until he has a Kabbalah, certification. Chacham does not give him a certification. So the Chacham knows that he's adept in Chashchita and that he has the craft of the hand. Therefore, since we assume people have Kabbalah, therefore we assume that a person comes to Shecht, we can rely on them even L'Chatchila. So we don't check them in the beginning or the end. The Kol Mitzvah Meitz Shchita, anybody who is found by Shchita, Kvar Nodla Kabbalah already got Kabbalah in front of a Chacham. Ad Kan Shulchan Aruch. That's the end quote of Shulchan Aruch. Okay, that's question obviously. Okay, why don't we require him to produce the Kabbalah? We just assume he has a Kabbalah. Okay, but that's for next time.